Now, last week saw an increase in electricity tariff for customers within the band A, as described by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC. This, no doubt, has raised some concerns for many customers within that frame. Today on the show, we'll be speaking with Adewale Smart Yorinde, he's the DG of NECA, as it brings to fore the concerns, the many concerns that this increase in power rates might bring about, especially as it concerns the ease of doing business and the harsh business environment. So good to have you on the show, DG. Good day to have you on the show. Good day.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us.
Good afternoon, DG. Fantastic. I would like to know what readily came to mind for you when the news of the increase in electricity tariff hit you. I'm sure your response might not be too different from many other Nigerians. But then, as a player within the organized private sector, how did it come to you?
Well, the regulators have the right to regulate. The customers have the right to communicate their concerns, which has been what has characterized the last 42, 48, 72 hours. Different stakeholders have shared their perspective. I had a legal luminary mentioning the regulation itself. That we've had household complain about the effect of the huge chunk of increase on household income. So many different perspectives from so many different individuals, but at the organized private sector level, I think deep consultation is still going on. That's probably why I've not seen the OPS making any definitive comments. But the engagement is going on at different level. First, to understand the real issues, to understand the effects of the increase on the about 15% of the customers, which predominantly we call Band A now. And that will, understanding the issues, understanding the context and the content of it, will enable the organized private sector to make informed comment about the issue as we currently have it. So, as I said, engagement is ongoing, consultation is ongoing at different levels, so that we are quite informed about the issues antecedent to this, issues involved in this, and then we'll now take a proactive steps to make comments. But suffice to say, there has been attempts to communicate. I think the NERC has done a bit communicating. The discourse have also done a bit communicating, share perspective with stakeholders. But at the organized private sector level, I think our position will be made known in the next few days.
I'm happy that the organized private sector are already engaging on the matter. But it's important that we lay out all the concerns that this has brought about. Very key in the minds of many players within the organized private sector is the singular fact that power itself isn't readily available. Many have argued that this seems like a case of putting the horse before the cart, or the cart before the horse. Talking about the fact that just maybe if there was appropriate availability of power, this whole issue around the band issue and the hike in tariff might not just be of concern to many players within the sector.
Well, until you have a good understanding of the dynamics in the power sector, that the discourse are the frontline guys that we deal with, all of us as customers. But at the back end, you have the gencos. The gencos are those that are actually generating and sells the power to the discos to distribute. So if you say there is no power, the people you ask is the gencos. Are they generating enough power for the discos to buy and then distribute? So if power is not available, then you need to look at the whole value chain of generation, transmission, and then distribution. So it doesn't end or stay with one person. If generation is not high enough, then the discos we have no light to sell. If the generation is too much for the infrastructure of the discos to distribute, then the discos, as we have seen, sometimes might also reject some of the power that the gencos have produced. So it takes a bit of understanding of that, the whole value chain of this whole context of power issues before one will be in a position to make very informed comment and not comment that are driven by emotions or driven by past experience of what we have with NEPA. So it's as if that is not the focus of the conversation now. Whether there is enough power to distribute or whether there is none is a different context. But we think part of the thing that should have been done, part of the announcements that we are hearing now of or part of the communication that we are hearing now is part of the things that probably should have been done. Sensitization, um, effective communication, massive public awareness on the issues, and probably even sensitizing individuals and households on how to conserve power, what are the options for alternative energy use. All those issues might just temper the pressure that we have now. It is also possible that individuals, groups, organizations are responding and households are actually responding to the ongoing pressure, as somebody will say, pressure to work. The ongoing pressure arising from the removal of the fuel subsidy. People are still smarting on how do we manage, how do we survive, how do we adjust, and then and naturally when those pressures start coming from everywhere, people will naturally will react not based on reason, but based on their current reality, which is valid, irrespective of what you think.
Response there. Now let's dissect the possible impact that this would have from a layman's perspective. Mr. President, sometime last week, did tell Nigerians that he would fight inflation, and many are beginning to look at how the president intends to bring down inflationary figures, and then boom, the rise in electricity tariff. So many economists have argued that this could be counterproductive to the fight against inflation, because what this could mean, naturally, is that Nigerians would have to spend more, even though they say just about 15% of the consumer framework, but then Nigerians would have to spend more for the commodity. For the business environment, for the manufacturing environment that have often grappled with high cost of doing business. How does this come to you, DJ?
Looking from taking a critical look at the issues, I think the risk or the concern basically beyond the cost is the issue of availability and availability of the power itself. Because some have said, and rightly so also, that if you have the power for that long, that may have consequential effects on your volume of diesel consumption, which also makes some sense. That if I have power for 20 hours, then that will have direct impact on my level of diesel consumption. Now, someone that is not susceptible to using diesel, will probably feel the heat more. So it's we believe strongly, as I said, while engagement is ongoing, we believe strongly that there is some level or high level of interministerial coordination to ensure that one activity of one agency of government is not affecting the activity of another agency of government and altogether affecting the Renew Hope agenda of the president. We believe strongly that that coordination is going on, and as I said, the engagement at the organized private sector level will probably shed more light on these real issues. But we believe strongly that that government is listening, and government will always listen to the concerns of organized business. But I can assure you that engagement is ongoing. I believe in a short while, the outcome of those engagements will come to light.
That you keep mentioning the fact that engagements are ongoing. Let me ask you very directly, what exactly is the organized private sector bringing to the argument for this initiative, for this move by government? What exactly is the OPS bringing to the argument?
Well, the OPS will naturally bring the issue of the cost of doing business. The OPS will bring the current issues of the multiplicity of issues that the OPS is currently grappling with. We just came out of the issue of forex, which we commend the CBN governor and his team for the yeoman's job they've done to put some level of stability in that instance. The OPS will also speak directly on the issue of power. Power has always been a big issue. Guarantees on the availability of power. While we note the issues, the 200 million fine that one of the discos was slammed of recent, but we also believe people will need more guarantees as per if A doesn't happen, then what's the timeliness of BCD? I listened to one of your report just before now that if a customer is not satisfied that the disco we have to compensate through tokens.